We are now 4 games into the NFL season, and you know what that means. The awards races are locked. We know exactly who's winning each and every award. MVP, Offensive Player, Defensive Player, Offensive Rookie, and Defensive Rookie are all solidified. So we are going to come through and tell you exactly who is going to win these awards with 100% accuracy. If you
Oh
can,
yeah,
if you
for
couldn't
sure.
tell, there's a little sarcasm in there. But if you
Yeah, I think do we want to start with the big one or start with the small ones?
feel like every time we go
Work way.
through and we have it listed MVP first, and then we think about it and we're like, you know what, we should save the cake for last, and
Yeah.
eat the scraps first. So let's
Hmm.
save the cake for last. I have a pretty bold take there, if you will. So I'm
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that.
Love to
Everybody, if you're
hear.
here for the segment video, stick around for that bold take and see who we are speaking of there. But offensive player of the year wise, I'm curious to know who you have.
Offensive Player of the Year. It's always a toss up. It's not going to be a quarterback, so we can pretty much rule that out, and it's going to be whoever you think has the most MVP caliber besides a quarterback. Now through this season, through the year, I'm really seeing a lot from Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions. He's getting these touchdowns, he's getting them, but they're low red zone. They're pretty easy gets. Um, so I'm not really leaning hard into that. However, I do think that there's a major case to be made for another wide receiver, and that would be Puka Nacua, who has started off electric. He's benefiting a lot from having Devontae Adams also need attention out of that receiving group. And, he's got Matthew Stafford throwing the ball to him. So he's going to probably put up an insane year because Stafford tends to feed a receiver a lot. And so when he is able to do that, he really stads their pats. Um,
Nice.
but they go ahead. I think that if they manage to keep up the chemistry, if they stay healthy, the both of them, that pair of players, uh, I think that they could definitely see Puka Nacua walk away with that Offensive Player of the Year. Oddly enough, I'm not really feeling a lot of like this. It's going to be this running back. This running back's off to a great start. Obviously, because Derrick Henry, the one that we kind of perennially would have said, yeah, he might be the Offensive Player of the Year, has had a rough start, and Saquon Barkley has had a slow start, not a rough one. I'd say just a slow one, with the team needing to really rely on him.
Yeah. So I Puka's a good take. I wouldn't be surprised. I will say the running back that I would say, because I have a running back, I have two listed. One of them that I wanted to give a shout out to just because he's having a pretty good year so far, and the team is having a really good year overall, which is not at all what we expected. And that's Jonathan Taylor, who's having a pretty good year for the
True.
Colts. So I think that we could see him continue that and kind of go off and win it. But the guy that I think has a better shot is James Cook of the Bills. I think that Josh Allen's doing a lot, but James Cook already has 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks, and he's averaging 100 yards a game, and I think that's just rushing. I don't even think that's with receiving work.
True. Yeah.
Receiving wise, oh my god, receiving wise, he's got 89 yards on the year. Rushing wise, he's got 400. So he's nearing on 500 total yards in week 4, 5 touchdowns rushing, and no touchdowns receiving yet. But I think that's probably my pick. I could see the Puka and I agree with it, but I think James Cook is my selection there.
Yeah. I think honestly, let's keep it offense oriented. We're talking about these players. Let's move to the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And so this one's gonna be a little bit more dicey, we'll say, because some of these players haven't started. Some of them just started getting their starts. You know, I'd say Omarion Hampton, great show out game for him. However, he hasn't had that yet so far. It's not like this is a set trend that he's continuing. Same with Ashton Genty. He just
Yeah.
blew up, but it's after pretty muddled success after the poor O line and change of stance. And Mika Buka, though, now that's consistency. And honestly, I think that that would be my pick here for Emeka Ibuka to walk away with Offensive Rookie of the Year, even though the real threat to that is Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart starting, Jackson Dart having a win. Not going to say he's going to pile those up, but if he manages
So
to go like 500, go win loss, half of them. I mean, that's offensive rookie of the year caliber if he has the stats and the actual performance to back that up.
Yeah,
Now, this
I was
past
gonna
week,
say
he
this.
didn't light up the stat sheet, but they won, and he's certainly winning more than Cam Ward. So, we'll
Yeah,
see where that goes. But my pick here would be Amika.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be Dart, especially not with Malik
No,
Neighbors now out for the year. So he's lost his good
sure.
receiver. He's down to Darius Slayton, and uh, right, it's Darius Slayton. Sorry. Yes,
I
it
know
is.
Wandale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darius Slayton, Wendell Robinson. So I actually have a different giant listed, and that is Cam Scattaboo,
Nice.
who I think
Nice.
has a chance just because he's getting a lot of touches. I think Genty has a good shot at it because he's kind of coming into his own and we know what he's capable of, and now he's showing us. Same with Omarion, where these are guys who are getting their footing and starting to look a lot better. If Matthew Golden's usage doesn't tick up, I think he's kind of losing his shot at it. And I obviously I do have Amika listed just because he's been doing so well. But I think the biggest threat to Amika is not another rookie, but it's Chris Godwin and it's Mike Evans coming back and it's him being relegated to the third wide receiver because right now he's acting as the one because both of those
Yeah.
guys are out. So of course, with the gunslinger like Baker throwing him the ball, he's going to get a lot of targets. He's going to get a lot of catches, a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns. But I don't know if that continues when we've got other guys coming back into the fold. Correct me if Mike Evans is done for the year, but I thought it was just a few weeks that he's out.
I know Chris Godwin was back for this game.
Okay.
Mike Evans, I think, was just out for this week.
Okay. Yeah. So I would need to see him sustain success with those two in the lineup for a couple weeks, but I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying I need to see it before I'll fully believe it. And the other guy is just Tyler Warren, another guy from the
Sure.
Colts where they're having a good year. He's not exactly having the most insane stat line for tight ends. And I feel like if Bowers didn't win it last year, probably not going to see a tight end win it. But, it's possible. We'll go Amika there as my official pick, I guess, if we had to
Okay.
choose.
If you're narrowing them down, I mean, I narrowed mine down, but right now you would say James Cook and Amika Ibuka as your
Yeah.
little narrowed group.
Then
Now,
let's get into
how do you want to
defense.
flip it?
Let's get into defensive player of the year. Let's go back up to the top. And I've got, it's I feel like for defense specifically, it's really early on to make any claims to say that anybody's doing exceedingly well. Devin Lloyd is a personal favorite of mine. He's really playing that inside linebacker role well, and he's got 3 picks on the year leading the league. And there's a little bit of personal connection with a certain Madden franchise that I usered him in and made him a multi-time defensive player of the year. So maybe there's a little bit of just wanting that to be reality. But he is playing at an elite level. He's doing everything right, and the Jaguars are righting the ship a little bit. They're starting to look a little bit better, a little more competitive. And so if they can continue that and he can continue putting up, basically an interception a week, that's a pretty good pace for him for a linebacker to
Yeah.
be on. But also, I think we could see Micah Parsons come in and make a claim to it. I think we could see Aiden Hutchinson tick up his sacks and make a claim for it. I think any of these all-star DNs we could see winning it in the end.
Yeah, it is especially early. I think Hutchinson he had a rough first 2 games. He's a great the past 2 games. Parsons, I'd say, was he's Mr. Consistent, and then Miles Garrett as like the guy that I just had to watch go against Panay Sewell and just dominate. Like my personal pick would be Miles Garrett, but any of those top edge rushers, it's like a pick your poison. Now I think even like I feel like last year I said Max Crosby was like a long shot, dark horse pick for me, but it feels like yet again it could be another year like that for him. It really does just come down to for defensive player of the year. It is unfortunately like the edge rusher award. So
Yeah.
and I wouldn't say that there's right now a corner that is balling out so ridiculously that they would surpass that. So
Pat's locking up.
I'd go Miles Garrett, but
Surtain's locking up as always, but that's kind of it's almost par
and
for the course
he's always
for him.
done that. So
Yeah.
it's like, is he gonna get an award this year for it? Probably not.
Yeah. But we can get into defensive rookie, and that's another little bit of a weird one. So
Yeah.
you also said Pat Surtain, is he going to finally get an award for it? He was DPOY last year, but um, getting into defensive rookie of the year, I think it's really early on to, again, like if we're not even sure on the defensive player of the year, defensive rookie of the year, we're even less sure on, because these rookies are still fighting for their touches and their snaps. So I think
Yeah.
Abdul Carter, with the Giants' defensive line looking as good as it is, and him contributing, I think we could see the award thrown his way if he starts to tick up the sacks or the usage. And he's kind of been a chess piece for the Giants' defense. Not exactly the idea they had drafting him, but as it turns out, they have a lot of holes on the defense, and so if they can drop him back into coverage every now and then as an off ball linebacker, they have been doing that.
Hmm.
And then Jihad Campbell is another name that I saw come up when I was like kind of looking into what rookies are currently regarded as doing better. And, rookie linebacker getting snaps on the Eagles, it's going to be hard to say that he isn't doing well and isn't looked at as a good
Yeah.
player. So I
Yeah.
could
When he's
see,
starting on a great defense,
yeah,
um, the player I have, linebacker Carson Swessinger, starting on a bad defense, but that means he's getting the reps and he's getting the workload, and he's really the one making a lot of these plays. Um, And then I've got a little bit of a Michigan bias going on because I think Mason Graham's doing well for the Browns on their defense, and then Will Johnson has been playing pretty good,
he has been
and
locking
it's
down. Yeah,
it's great to see that. Like once again, I could put it between any of them. Uh, I'd probably lean with Mason Graham because these you know don't really lean into going to Will Johnson with history, and linebacker would be interesting for Schlesinger if he managed to pull that off, especially with the depth of the edge rushing class we had at rookies. For it to be the end of the first round, start of the second round, linebacker to the Browns, I'd like to see it. So he
yeah.
would be my personal little long shot pick there because
He was,
he'd be
yeah,
fun.
he was another name that came up when I was kind of looking into it. But I think more than like who is balling right now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
projecting into the future for these rookies and who's going to get more snaps. And if Schlesinger is balling out, but he's also on a bad defense, so he's already getting all the snaps, there's players that are
Yeah.
probably going to start to do a little bit better, and that's where the Jihad Campbell and the Abdul Carter come in. But it is very possible that he just continues to play at a good level, and he ends up walking away with it. And same with Will Johnson, where Will Johnson has been balling. I forgot about that, but
Mm-hmm.
his knee is not toast. He is able to move on the field, and he is doing pretty well for it. So looks like our pre-draft takes are aging a little bit better than the league's pre-draft takes.
Yeah, we were man. Yeah, now that you mentioned that, that brings back all
Oh,
those
top
mock
five pick,
drafts. Yeah.
top five pick, Will Johnson. You know what? The Patriots go Will Johnson at 4. But yeah, let's
What a reality that would have been.
let's
Anyways,
go with MVP. Let's start talking MVP. I've got the standard Josh Allen. He's pretty good, leading an undefeated
yeah,
team, leading a pretty good offense. Can't say that he's not
difficult
doing anything right, but
difficult to go against that. Yeah.
yeah, but you know who's better than Josh Allen? You know who's like a younger Josh Allen and better?
Oh, okay. Drake May. That's where
Drake
we're
May,
going.
baby. Drake May is my pick for the MVP. Actually, he is, but it's because what he's doing right now is just playing at a good, solid level. He's got, I think, almost 900 passing yards on the year, almost 1,000 actually. He's got 988 passing yards on the year. He's got 7 touchdowns to 2 picks, so he's playing efficient, good football. Rushing wise, 2 touchdowns, almost 100 yards. He hasn't really been used in that heavy rushing role. He had a better performance against Pittsburgh rushing than he has in any of the other games. Week 1 was rough, so that's like a quarter of the games we've seen so far have not been great from him. But that was a new unit, new offensive line, new coach, new offensive coordinator, new receivers, new everything. Like it was just the first game with a fully rebuilt team, and he went 65% completion percentage, almost 300 yards, a touchdown, a pick. And so it's, we've seen better out of him, but even that wasn't a terrible performance. And if he can continue to build on the Carolina win where we won 42-13, and if the Patriots can continue to do that and kind of continue to get better, their schedule's cake. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not gonna pretend it's not cake. It is a cake schedule. And if Drake May can put up stats on a cake schedule and the Patriots can be like a 10-win team, we might be
Yeah,
looking at
I
some
mean,
votes for him. Like,
yeah, I can see your argument there, and you know what?
it's a
I'll
homer
lean
pick.
into your
It's a homer
yeah.
pick,
I'll lean
100%.
into your homer pick, okay? Because I really like Jared Goff as like that longer shot for the MVP pick, and a lot of it is because right now they're basically playing the exact same kind. Like Jared Goff, 9 passing touchdowns. So for Drake May's total touchdowns, he also has 9. He has 2 interceptions. Jared Goff, 2 interceptions. They're both being the most accurate, at least if you want to compare accuracy to completion percentage throughout the league. Drake May number 1, Jared Goff number 2 for the completion percentage there. So comparing them side by side, we are seeing extremely similar in our perception of who's this like long shot, and they're both homer picks, ironically. But with just that there, like I wouldn't mind seeing Jared Goff if he really feeds Amon-Ra and this offense really stays minus Ben Johnson, if that really separates him and that gets him those votes. Whereas I don't want to just say like, oh, Josh Allen, Joshy Poo, Josh Butt, and Lamar Jackson, he's gonna miss maybe a couple of weeks throughout the year. It's probably gonna be Josh Allen. I do think like
Mahomes.
it could be Mahomes. He resurged this past game, but it's Mahomes, and I don't think he's gonna walk away with another one. If there's any questions about the year for Mahomes, that means he's not getting it because he's the last quarterback to be questioned. So
I'm gonna.
I won't lean to that.
I'm curious if you. So right now we're saying that Jared Goff and Drake May have pretty similar stats. I mean, they really do. Like within 100 yards of each other, or within like 50 yards of each other, actually.
Yeah.
And same touchdown to interception ratio if we factor in Drake's rushing, and if by the end of the year they both are still 1 and 2 in completion percentage, and their touchdown interceptions are very similar, and their yardage totals are very similar, and I'm saying Patriots 10 wins. I think if the Lions end up cooking enough, they could get up to like 12, 13, 14, 15 wins. Do you think the MVP would go to the leader of a team that is like doing a very quick turnaround rebuild, or the leader of a team who was good last year and is proving a point this year and is top of the NFC? Like, which do you think MVP voters would favor more?
Here's my point to that. Okay, Jared Goff would win MVP, and guess who would win Coach of the Year? It wouldn't be the 15-2 Lions again. It would probably be first year of a rebuild, coach coming in and leading the charge. And that's my stance on that. I don't think that it would be a particular race there. I think it would just be one wins one award, and the team, which was perceived to be bad, Drake May did great, but the team is under the tutelage of this head coach. And that's so fair. That's how I would see that kind of shaken out.
That's fair. I think you're right. I think if it was similar stats, but one team had more wins, the team with more wins, that quarterback would get the MVP. But that's my cynicism of the award itself, not necessarily a good representation. But yeah, everybody.
We picked our homers.
We picked our homers for MVP. Let us know down in the comments if we're outlandish for saying Goff and May. I think they're definitely homer picks, and we're definitely leaning bias into it. But it's also, they're not the most outlandish picks I've ever heard. Like, it's not like I'm saying, Joe Flacco's going to win MVP because I'm a Browns fan. Like, that's just not. Yeah. If I was a Browns fan, I'd be not watching football. So
Hmm.
I think that these are some reasonable picks, but let us know whose you agree with more, and if you've got any other shout outs, especially for the rookie positions. If you've got anybody that you want to shout out, have us keep an eye on for the rest of the season, absolutely do that down in the comments down below.
I will say real quick, as my honorable mention for MVP, you went your homer pick, so I matched your homer pick. But if I exclude any bias, Baker Mayfield, dark horse pick.
He's
He
cooking.
keeps having to lead these last 2 minute drives to go and score and win the game. That's an MVP in my eyes.
Yeah, he's not bacon, he's cooking. Anyways, we can exit out of this awards prediction segment. So if you are here just for the segment video, we implore you to watch the full podcast when it comes out tomorrow at noon on Thursday, well before the Thursday night football games. Gives you plenty of time to get caught up on everything that we are doing over here, and then get into the actual NFL content for the weekend. If you don't do that, if you're just here for the segment videos, that's fine too. We make these because we know people enjoy them a little bit more. So if
It's more
there's
digestible.
it is. And if there's any suggestions you have, any future segments you would like to see, maybe an update to this one later down the line, or anything else, any other ideas you have, go ahead and drop those down in the comments down below, along with obviously your awards predictions. And with that, we will get right back into the podcast.